Yo, welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops with your boy, Nikki P. Y'all know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let's chop it up. Today, we're not just talking about basketball. We're talking about will. We're talking about heart. We're talking about the beautiful, brutal art of proving everybody wrong. We're talking about Jalen Brunson. In a league obsessed with wingspan, with vertical leaps, with height, with the measurables, the attributes that make scouts drool, Jalen Brunson looked like he walked into the wrong building. He's 6'1" on a good day. He isn't going to out-jump you. He isn't going to outrun you. But what he possesses is something you cannot measure with a tape measure. It's a quiet, burning, obsessive fire deep within. To understand the legend of Jalen Brunson, you have to understand the doubt. You have to understand the disrespect. Because his journey is not just a story of success. It's a story of survival. It's a masterclass in how grit, intelligence, and an unshakable belief in yourself can outweigh any physical attribute. Let's go back to the beginning, the college years, the champion's pedigree. We start in college, and when I say college, I mean the gold standard, Villanova. This is where the foundation was laid, but even here, he was the winner, but rarely the superstar people talked about. He was a steady hand, the coach on the floor. But if you watched those Villanova teams, you saw something special. You saw a kid who had been training for the NBA since he was in diapers. His father, Rick Brunson, a former NBA player, teaching him the nuances, the footwork, the angles. In 2016, he was the National Freshman of the Year. In 2018, he was a Naismith College Player of the Year. He won 2 national championships. He dominated the Big East. He was a winner. And yet, the narrative was always the same. Great college player. But the NBA is too fast, too athletic. He's too small. He's too slow. That was the first chip, the first scratch on the shoulder. He dominated the most intense stage in college basketball, and the basketball world looked at him and said, "That's cute, but we'll see." He dropped to the second round of the 2018 NBA draft, pick number 33. Let me repeat that. A 2-time national champion, the player of the year, drops to the second round? Why? Because he wasn't a prototype? Because the NBA cares more about potential than production? That was the moment the fire was lit. That was the moment Jalen Brunson decided that he would never let the league define what he could be. He would define himself. The Dallas days, the sidekick and the scapegoat. So he lands in Dallas, the Mavericks. He joins a team that has a generational talent, a magician with the ball, and Luka Doncic. For the first few years, Brunson is the understudy. He's the backup. He is the nice player, but he's patient. He's learning. He's absorbing. And then in 2022 playoffs, the world got a glimpse. Luka went down with an injury in the first round against the Utah Jazz. The Mavericks were supposed to fold, but they didn't. Jalen Brunson stepped up. He averaged 27.5 points in that series. He was unstoppable. He was a killer. He showed the world, and more importantly, he showed the Mavericks front office that he wasn't just a backup. He was a co-star. He had the juice. But what happened next? This is where the story gets a little ugly. This is where the disrespect becomes the fuel. The Mavericks had a choice. They could extend Jalen Brunson. They could pay him. They could say, hey, we have 2 elite playmakers and we can build a dynasty. Instead, they balked. They hesitated. They offered him a low-ball extension, reportedly around 4 years, $55 million. They treated him like a role player. They didn't think he could be the number 2 option. They didn't think he could be the Robin to Luka's Batman. They looked at the size, they looked at the athleticism, and they decided, he's a nice piece, but we can't win a championship with him as the second best player. So they let him walk. They gave up on him. Think about that. A kid who just carried you in the playoffs. A kid who bled for the franchise, and they told him, you still ain't enough. He walked away. He went to the New York Knicks, and he took that doubt with him. He packed it in a suitcase and brought it to Madison Square Garden. The New York Ascension and the number 1 option. Now we arrive at the present. The Knicks, the bright lights, the biggest stage in basketball. And suddenly, the sidekick isn't a sidekick any longer. He becomes the leader. He becomes the engine. He goes from being the number 2 option that Dallas didn't believe in to the number 1 option that New York desperately needed. He came to New York and averaged 24 points, 6 assists. He made the All-Star team. He led the Knicks to their first playoff series win in a decade. But here's the thing. people still doubted. People said, hey, he's a nice regular season player, but can he do it in the playoffs? Can he handle the physicality when the referees swallow the whistles? Let's talk about the 2026 NBA playoffs, because this is where the legends are made. This is where the narrative dies. The New York Knicks went on an absolute rampage. We're talking about a playoff run so dominant that it shook the foundations of the Eastern Conference. They weren't just winning, they were imposing their will. They were suffocating teams. They swept the first round, they demolished the second round. They ran through the conference finals, losing only a handful of games. They made it look easy. They was on cruise control. Why? Because Jalen Brunson orchestrated every possession. He was a surgeon out there. When the defenses threw doubles, he found the open man. When they played him one-on-one, he dissected them. He used his strength, that low center of gravity, that unrelenting footwork. And throughout that run, the narrative shifted. It was no longer, can he be a number two? It was, is he the best player in the playoffs? The chip on his shoulder grew so heavy that it became a boulder, and he was using it to crush the opposition. The 45-point masterpiece, the coronation. This brings us to the closing night, the championship, Game 6, the closeout. The Knicks are up 3-2. The pressure is immense. The opposing team is throwing everything they have at him. They're clawing, grabbing, hacking. The physicality is off the charts. And Jalen Brunson, he turns into a wraith. He's unbothered, untethered. He scores, he passes, he rebounds. He attacks the rim relentlessly. He hits step backs, he hits floaters, he draws fouls. When the final buzzer sounds, the scoreboard reads 45 points. 45 points in a championship-clinching closeout game on the road against a defense that was specifically designed to stop him. And here's the beauty of it. He didn't do all of that with a 40-inch vertical. He didn't do it with a 7-foot wingspan. He did it with footwork that would make a ballerina jealous. He did it with a basketball IQ that is off the charts. He did it with a heart that refuses to lose. As he hoists the Larry O'Brien trophy, the story comes full circle. The kid who was too small for the NBA, the second-round pick, the backup who wasn't worth the money, the sidekick who couldn't be a number two. He's now the Finals MVP, the best player on the best team in the world. The conclusion, heart, will, and might. So what is the lesson of Jalen Brunson? It's a lesson for every kid who's been told they aren't tall enough, for every worker who's ever been told they aren't qualified enough, for every dreamer who's been told their dream is too big, it's unrealistic. The league is filled with genetic anomalies. It's filled with 7-footers who can shoot threes. It's filled with guys who can jump out the gym. But the league is not filled with guys who have the heart of Jalen Brunson. He proved that there is a difference between attributes and character. Attributes are what you are given. Character is what you build. Will beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But when will meets preparation, when heart meets skill, you get a champion. Jalen Brunson took a chip on his shoulder and turned it into a mountain, and he climbed it. He proved that you don't need to be the biggest. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be the toughest. You just need to want it more. So the next time someone tells you no, remember Jalen Brunson. Remember the second-round pick. Remember the 45 points. Remember that heart, that will, and might that can outperform any attributes every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks are champions. Jalen Brunson is the king of New York, and his journey is the greatest reminder that the size of your heart matters more than the size of your body. Once again, you're rocking with Nikki P. This is Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops. And until the next time, peace.